think you want to talk to the insurgents in Libya and say whether they'd rather have Facebook access or a no-fly zone or a couple of containers of 50 cal ammunition. So clearly there's been a lot of interest in activities in the Middle East around Facebook, Twitter and other social media, but the nitty-gritty is being done in the traditional manner of blowing things up and killing people. And it's a very earnest and hard-fought struggle, and I don't think it's one which has been in any way, from what we can see here, facilitated by any of the bright, shiny technology that we like to use. What a nice modern argument that is. Maybe there's some truth in all that. I mean, perhaps there's a socially placating function of technology and new media. Yes, we get absorbed in just all that sort of busyness and to and fro without actually it amounting to a great deal in sort of concrete terms. I mean, the Middle East analogy applies. Having said that, it's clearly a very beneficial tool in terms of communication and consciousness raising potentially. So it's not a chicken or an egg. I think there's elements of truth in both sides of that discussion. But I think the sum of it is, no matter how you communicate the message, and no doubt that can be done more effectively now, at the end of the day there still needs to be a consciousness raised and an action taken, and that may not be in any way affected by the presence or otherwise of social media. It's a matter of caring still at the end of the day. I guess the interesting thing in terms of very specific immediate issues of human rights that social media can play a role in alerting attention to sort of saying this is happening over here now, please do something. So there's that sort of instance. It's rapidity and its diffuseness, I guess, is the advantage that social media has in that sort of context. Mainstream media, though, at the end of the day, when more coherent, longer-term strategies and campaigns need to be enacted through media on particular issues that might go to human rights, then mainstream media can do it with great effect, given the size of its audience, given the amount of opinion it can sway. So it's horses for courses. But that sort of thing that we see now, I mean, if we look at the Libyan intervention, I mean, you have to wonder if 10 years ago, before the attention that social media can draw to a series of events, whether, if only they had Twitter in Rwanda. So that's a sort of a useful tool. At least with social media you can choose which path you tune into, which is a really nice and interesting facet of the way in which you can create a media environment of your choosing that has downsides in that sort of echo chamber effect. But it's not being foisted on you in the way that mainstream broadcast media can be. And I mean, I hold to those words. I mean, anyone who looks at the majority of material put out by mainstream broadcast media, the fact is that it's all being done to a commercial purpose, that it's all being done to a lowest common denominator, and there's no sort of sidestepping that. And those getting an audience and making money out of it are their primary concerns, and all else flows from that. And that can't really be said of the majority of information that travels around in social media, which is an environment where those sorts of concerns are in funny ways more transparent and far more readily sort of acted against. Yeah, look, I think that's a matter of your individual discipline about how you approach that medium. I mean, I follow, for example, on Twitter a lot of people who completely appall me, and me them. So it's I think you need to take responsibility for your own sort of media consumption. That's the responsibility that flows from being in an environment where you sort of reject being spoon-fed by the hierarchical mainstream, and then you need to take responsibility to expose yourself to more than sort of reinforcement of your own views and your new milieu. So.